Hey, thank you for checking out the video. This is Matt with Option Omega. We're going to do a little different one. This was by request of a couple of the folks in our Discord, and I decided to throw it up here on YouTube. What we have here is a trade that's not super popular in the OO community, but it is popular in certain circles of the internet. This is a put ratio spread, and there are a bazillion variations on this. I'm just going to say that outright. So if you're thinking this doesn't look like any put ratio spread I've seen, that makes sense. There's a bazillion versions of it. This is a trade, not my cup of tea. I will explain why it is some people's cup of tea. And then the real point of the video is to show a couple mods that we did in the community on some videos. First of all, I'm doing something just as a teaching lesson that I don't normally do, which is I'm capping the contract at one contract because you are selling naked puts. This takes a good chunk of margin. What we're doing is we have a long put debit spread closer to the money. We are financing that and getting a credit by selling two farther out of the money puts. So long 20 delta and then short 10 away from that and then short 2.7 delta. So there is a lot of risk. And the reason people like this kind of trade, I can explain it, is if you put this on in COVID or around COVID when vol was high, you went a really, you can just see this upward festivity here. You went really long time without having a real big drawdown. So there are some times like in 2022 when we had sticky vol and we had a pretty grindy down market. There are times when you got caught, but you didn't get absolutely wrecked until August of this year. And then this is what I called the Matty yikes, this huge black Monday. I've heard it called Vixilla before, and that was rough. So it's recovered since then. But the point is you lost, 2 years worth of trading gains here in a day. So that's why, to me, this is not my cup of tea. There are friends of OO that trade this kind of thing, and I get it. But that's just to explain what that is. Now, let's look at another variant on it. This was dubbed the Matty Ice. So what is this? This is a similar concept. And before I get into it, let's just note, I changed the starting capital. This first backtest, the yikes, I'm just doing this because it's got a naked put. I just wanted to show you how it trades per contract. So these are not to compare like for like backtests because they are not like for like, just so you know. So don't compare the MAR or anything like that because they're two totally different things. But this one is interesting. And this was kind of generated with some ideas in the community. I think I posted it and we chopped it up. But what you're doing in this is a similar concept. So you still have a put debit spread and you still have a farther out put. But what's different in the Matty Ice, this version, you are buying two long puts at 30 out. So it wins almost all the time and you get a credit. And then occasionally, and this is where volatility actually works for you. If you look in 2022, you have a Yahtzee to where the put debit spread will finish in the money. The put credit spread finishes out of the money. So some of the winners have really nice winners. And at the same time, you are going to limit your losers because your losers are capped. Again, the only cap we have, there's no exit here. This has some exit parameters just from an old backtest, but you're just holding it till expiry. Okay. That's all you're doing. So if you look, you get some nice winners here. So this would have been a COVID winner. You put it on, man, that would have taken some teeth gritting there, but you would have gotten a credit for it and then you would have closed it for a credit. Again, it's happened multiple times. This is a backtest. We've got an N of 200. We're just putting it on Monday here, Monday morning. There's not a lot of science to that other than that Monday morning falls a little bit juiced. And so we ran this backtest back quite a long ways. Now, why would you not want to trade this? You could argue the MAR is not real sexy. There's probably better backtests. There's probably better trades out there. But this is an interesting concept. It's got a high win rate. The capture rate's it's silly because of the Yahtzee effect. So if nothing happens, you'll make money for the credit. If it goes up, you'll make money from the credit. If it goes down a lot, you'll get the maximum put credit assigned. And then your only offsets will be the original credit and this debit spread, which is not nearly enough, right? So when you think about this, you're 30 wide times 2, so you're 60 wide to the negative. You're only 10 wide plus a small credit to the positive. So yeah, your losses are going to be ugly, right? Almost $5,000, which makes sense since you're 60 wide minus 10 in credit. So what is the next iteration of this? And this is what some people wanted to see a video on. This was dubbed by one of our community members the Matty 1000. So let's take a look at this. What you're doing, and here I will link this one in the description. We have leg groups here. And what you're doing on this is you are using the Matty Ice, which has a credit, to fund a single long $1 put. And then the wrinkle is this: you are closing that put at 1,000%. So it's not going to hit it that often. We can look back and see when it hits it. Here it is. August 5th. There's one. There's one. So we did require 2 price targets to make sure it wasn't a blip. And the times when it hits, you could have a very good day, right? Like you would have felt good. Now, so here's what's interesting about it though. You still have to rely on the upward market working in your favor, because your biggest loser will probably not kick this hedge off. It may not kick the hedge off. And the hedge, we do have a profit target on this. Again, this backtest is very much just a starting point. The concept of hedging is very popular on Option Omega, and there's a lot of people who want to talk about it, see how it works, etc. So I will share this down below. One of the main discussions is, and again, this is why I think people wouldn't want to trade something like this, is this really worth the time and the effort? It relies on you're basically going to be making pennies unless you have a huge move down that trips your hedge, or kind of a big move down that closes between one of these tents. Obviously the near tent's fine. The far tent you don't want. So it's still going to give you a positive overall, very close to a positive credit or a very small debit. Like it just depends how much you get the credit for and how much the debit is. Here's 5 cents difference. Here's 20. So this was a 5-cent debit, of course, before fees. Here's a 20-cent credit. Here's a 25-cent debit. So it's basically giving you a put, a long put. The problem is, and the risk is, that you have a profit target on the put in this backtest. And even if you hit that profit target, if it still finishes down here, it might not be in your favor. So not the sexiest idea, but if you wanted to explore this, there might be a better way to use a put ratio spread to finance a long hedge put. The other thing about this, there were some other hedge calendarized or diagonalized put ideas shared. The ones that we talked about all had uncapped potential losses. They really required vol to move. This one, because of the ice, the structure of the Matty Ice, it is capped. So your gains potentially, and here's the thing, you could take this profit target off and just run it without a profit target, or set this even crazier if you wanted to. Profit target could be whatever you want. This would give you, if you took the profit target off, it would give you a truly uncapped long put, but it takes a huge event to make a $1 put at 60 DTE go in the money. So just a little video here shows you a couple of the concepts that you can play around with. Here's the Matty 1000. I will post this in the box below. Thank you as always.